Hi, I'm Greg Yellen with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected. Really excited about this conversation today. I get to talk with Russell Richardson. You might know him as Russ Flips Whips. If you've been paying attention over the last, decade or so, you've probably seen his content, and he's really taken off. Russ is also the founder of RFW Training. So, Russ, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on, Greg. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. So, I was doing a little research coming into this conversation, and it looks like you're from kind of Pittsburgh area, right? Greater Pittsburgh, suburbs of Pittsburgh, and I was kind of looking to see what I could find online, and man, the one thing that I saw was how did people, 8-9 years ago, how did people not cover number one on the high school football field? I didn't understand. All I saw were highlights of this wide receiver catching passes.
Yes, I was a decent athlete for the Penn Trafford team, not one of the best. And it's kind of actually how I ended up in automotive. As a freshman in high school, was the guy who was like, I'm going to the NFL. You see, I was 5'10", 165 pounds as a freshman. I'm like, dude, and then I was 5'10", 165 pounds as a senior. Bro. And at least I was somewhat smart enough to realize that as time went on that I was not going to make it to the NFL, then I was like, okay, I'm probably not even going to go D1, probably not going to go D2, some D3 opportunities. They almost let anybody walk onto a D3 football team that started as a senior. And I was like, that's not for me. And I was washing cars at a car dealership at the time. And our principal approached us. And the senior year, he was like, hey, if you want to get a job or go to college, we'll let you leave school early as a senior after fourth period. Kind of like jail, like work release lets you leave a little bit, but you got to come back. And to me, as a knucklehead idiot in high school with no career plan, nobody in my family's ever been to college, I was like, I'm not going to college, and this is cool. I'm going to leave school. Heck yeah. And I approached my general manager at the dealership. I was like, hey, I want to leave school early and come here and wash cars. You think I could start my shift at 12 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock? And he thought about it, and I see all the wheels turning in his head. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not going to let you leave school to wash cars. That would kind of be dumb. He's like, what if we gave you a position in sales? And I was like, yeah, I don't know about all that. Can I even sell cars? He's like, you're 18, right? And I was like, yep. And boom, started selling cars right after I started leaving school early to go sell cars in high school.
That's fun. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think especially in today's world, a lot of people, have internships or have co-ops, even in high school now. So it's great. But that's a great point. And I don't know, something for our audience to take away certainly is, as a dealer, right, why not get into these schools and talk to these kids about opportunities, right? Like, hey, if you have these co-op opportunities, why not get into this world, this automotive retail world that has tremendous upside and can take you almost anywhere you want to go?
Yeah, and a pro tip to anyone listening, just have the top salesman show you their pay stub or their year. And it's not a lot of money. And, by the grace of God, I was able to make a lot more than this. But the top salesman at the dealership made $95,000. And to someone who grew up really poor, my ambition at the time coming out of high school was if I could just make 50 grand. Yeah. And I saw that this guy was making $95,000 a year. And you kind of, as you're in the dealership, you see the work effort of some of the top guys, and you're like, doesn't seem like he's doing a whole lot to make that type of money. And that hooked me. That visually seeing his December 31st year to date was I was like, I could do that. I can be that guy. I just knew I had it in me, and that really lit a fire in me.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did your journey look like in the dealership? Because you were at, is it Biondi, Lincoln? Yeah. So you were there for a decade. Pretty much, right? So what did that journey look like for you? And obviously you, over time, created your own personality that led to what you're doing today. But I don't know, tell a little bit, if you don't mind, that story of your journey, that decade-long journey in the store.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. When I first started selling cars, a lot of people don't know this, I deleted all of my social media. I was like, I'm going to focus on the business. I don't need distractions in my life. And I did that. And I was actually very bad at selling cars. Not like the worst guy ever, but I was your average 8 to 10 car a month salesman. And at this Lincoln store, we had a nice setup. We were one of the first no haggle dealerships in the area. And we bought a lot of cars from Enterprise. And the dealership was a visionary when it came to buying cars from Enterprise and then selling them really cheap. And the margins were slim, but we had a volume-based pay plan and it was working. And I didn't have to sell new Lincolns because I didn't know anybody who was going to buy a new Lincoln. I grew up really poor. I'm 18 years old. None of my friends are going to buy a new Lincoln from me. And new Lincolns in 2017 weren't very hot. They were just like a dying brand. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be a used car salesman at a Lincoln store. This is great. I'm going to sell my 8 to 10 cars a month. Maybe I could sell more. And I got taken aside. We said, Mr. Biondi brought us all in. He's like, hey, the used car game with Enterprise is kind of dying. Everyone's going to the no haggle. Everyone's caught on. These margins, we're losing money, and I'm not going to buy these cars to lose money and hope we make it on the back end. Big dealers can afford to do that. Small family-owned store, not a great business model. He's like, we got to learn to sell new Lincolns. And I'm thinking about quitting. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know if I've sold a new Lincoln in the last 6 months. Maybe like I got to flip a deal for my manager, but I have not like legitimately sold one. I'm 18. I have a baby face. I really don't know the product that well. How am I going to sell these new Lincolns? And I got lucky. It all started with luck. I will certainly say that. It was there's no such thing as luck. It's preparation meets opportunity. And I wasn't really prepared. So I don't even know if it's preparation, but I was willing to take the opportunity. The new Aviator was coming out, and they had brought a demonstration model to our dealership. And I looked at my friend. I don't know why I did this. And I said, record me. I handed him my phone. He goes, what are you going to say? I go, I don't know. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. He goes, what do we do? I said, just record me. I'm going to go walk around this car and I'm going to put it on YouTube and see what happens. I got to get this out to people. This is a cool car. I'm excited. And I do that. I make my first YouTube video. It's terrible. I said over 50 times. I just counted recently. I was like, hey, it's Russ at Biondi. And behind me, we have the new 2020 Aviator that's coming out soon. I just kind of want to walk you guys around it and point out what I see. And the video is so bad, Greg. I didn't know how to edit.
Is it still out there?
Oh, yeah. You can watch it. The video's
all right.
Go to my YouTube, filter from first video ever to like you can sort by like time frame or however that works. And there's a point in the video, you can see this in the video, where I look at the guy behind the camera and I'm like, I'm running out of things to talk about. What should I talk about? And he's like, maybe we should use this. And I start like touching the screen and just like, and look, terrible video. 150,000 views on YouTube. Sold some cars from it. I was like a caveman who discovered fire. I was like, I figured it out. And then I got really bad at social media. I realized that was lucky. That was one of the first YouTube videos on the Aviator, first person to really get their hands on it, and anybody could have made that video. I just got lucky. So I learned a lesson in that video. Don't be afraid to just pull out your phone and record. And that's what I started doing. I was like, I'm just going to record everything. I'm just going to be Mr. Record. But the Lincoln reviews weren't getting me that far because Lincoln just not being a hot brand. Like, so I got to learn to brand myself. And over the years, I ventured off into Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and I really learned, and we can get into the weeds of this if you'd like to, but I really learned how to brand myself and almost subliminally brainwash and manipulate people to start to think about Lincoln without even talking about Lincoln. And that was just with the educational and funny videos I was making. And the Lincolns were just always in the background. So 10 million people watch my video. I don't even mention a Lincoln, but there's 20 brand new Aviators behind me or whatever the model might have been. And then that gets people thinking. Just like, an athlete might have a Gatorade sitting in front of them. Well, he's not like Gatorade is the most, thirst quenching drink of all time. Like, no, we don't even talk about it, but it's sitting there. And then, when you think sports drink, you think Gatorade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So I want to dig into a little bit, if you don't mind. You mentioned kind of branding yourself. And one of the things that stands out to me that's fairly consistent when it comes to personal branding, at least in our space and in a lot of other industries, I think as well, is visual appearance. So for you wear glasses, right? And it's a specific style of glasses. Heck, you put them in your logo for RFW training. Exactly. Yeah. So like you have that as part of, so you're clean shaven, fairly well kept, shorter hair, and you have that specific style of glasses. How important do you see visual appearance in your branding? I look at others in our industry. I think about the guys from Asodu, right? And they have beards and black flat brimmed hats. Right. And I think about car dealership guy and he's got a neatly trimmed beard. His face is the logo, so like, how do you view personal appearance when it comes to branding and recall?
So there's 2 points to that. I think the most important thing is the consistent look. You
Okay.
want to be consistent in how you appear so people recognize you. And I figured this out, and this is one of my superpowers. I don't know what it is. I'm not smart. I was a C student, got a couple B's. I think I got an A in gym. But I can hear something one time, and if it makes sense to me, I'll never forget it. And Ty Lopez, maybe you know who he is, maybe you don't. He's some big internet guru, blah, 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 whatever. And he says he stopped wearing glasses because he got LASIK. And then he would notice in public, no one recognized him. His videos went down. So he bought a pair of like fake glasses. And now he just wears fake glasses because that was how he made his brand. And he didn't realize that. And he has a team of people. And he was like, what's changed over these last 3 months? Our views are down. I've noticed when I'm in public, no one's recognizing me. And he said it was the glasses. That was his brand. And that was like early on. If you go like way back to my content, I would like sometimes wear glasses, sometimes not wear glasses. And I'm deathly afraid of LASIK. So I would never get LASIK. So I was like, I kind of don't even like contacts that much. I was like, all right, that's going to be my brand is the glasses. And one thing my manager always taught me early on was like, always be clean shaven. And I did that more for the car sales aspect because, look as young as you can as possible. Always act like you're the customer's grandson. That was kind of my sales process, like always be the nice, happy young guy. So I was just clean shaven to begin with. So I just kind of rolled with the clean shaven thing. But you're absolutely right. You want to be consistent, but then take it up a notch if you can be memorable. And Benz's and bow ties. Wears a bow tie. Pretty memorable. And he's probably trapped himself in a corner, though, of being the guy who wears a bow tie for the rest of his life. Maybe that's good. It's up to you. I'm the big glasses. If I had a weird, different pair of glasses, which would be weird to me, normal to some, I would be less recognizable. And my mother actually works my mother-in-law actually works at an eyeglasses doctor, and she like does not care for my glasses, the style. And she was trying until she was blue in the face to get a different style. I'm like, this is my brand. Just order me 10 pairs of these. This is all I want. And this is the brand.
Yeah. So how does a person find that? So you train a lot of salespeople, right? And there's a lot of people out there who look in the mirror and they say, well, I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm a pretty normal gal. I wear a polo and jeans or a polo and slacks. I got a normal haircut. There's nothing like distinct necessarily about me. How do you find that? Right? Like what is there a process, or is it just kind of like be yourself and it'll come to you? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, you got to be yourself. I mean, dude, if I sat down 6 years ago when I started making content and was like, what is my brand going to be? You think I would have came up with glasses? So you do just got to let it naturally happen, which is what happened to me. We have had some students who have taken that initiative. Like one guy was like, dude, I have like the ultimate collection of cowboy hats. I don't wear them at work. And the boss was like, you can wear them at work. I don't care. Okay, boom, this guy wears cowboy hats. And we were just talking about this the other day. I talk to Ben's and bow ties often. We were like, somebody needs to do it with a top hat. There just needs to be like a top hat on the lawn. I don't know. Somebody got to do it. But I would not overthink it too much. We always say paralysis by analysis. There's some people that overanalyze things so much they do nothing. For example, a coworker of mine who I was mentoring for free wouldn't make videos because he hadn't thought of his name. I'm like, dude, you can change your name. Like, make the name doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Because he had to have like Russ Flips Whips or like, I'm like, dude, there's guys with huge followings and their name is just their name. Like, it doesn't have to be this crazy thing. I think some people just overthink. And I found that the best people I coach are just like doers and figure out, almost build the plane as you're flying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a really important point is, have a high bias for action and good things will happen, right? Like you probably won't have it right the first time. You probably won't have it right the second time, right? But by the 50th time, it's going to come, right? And you're going to figure it out, but you have to get those other 49 reps in to figure it out. Like you can't just sit and think about it and make it happen. You have to go do it and be okay with the fact that it's probably not going to be great. It's probably not going to be perfect. And especially in the social media world that that you live in, I mean, it's out there. It's public. So there can be, I think, an even intensified fear might be the wrong word, but hesitation to put stuff out there because you're going to get criticized. Everybody's going to see it. And so there's this just hesitation to go. But the thing is, I think at least if you think it's the right thing to do, if you believe that this is going to help you personally sell more cars or whatever you're selling, right? But if you believe it's going to work, then you have to be okay with not being perfect out of the gate and just get going.
Yeah, and I have two word tracks thought processes on this. When I'm
Yeah.
talking to salespeople, I'm like, look, if you make a video and nobody sees it, you're embarrassed. It got so low views. What are you embarrassed about? Nobody saw it. It's like you didn't
Yeah.
post it. And if it goes viral, well, as long as to your point, you did the right thing, and you'll get hate no matter what. But if it goes viral and it was the right intentions, and you really did make yourself or the store or whatever you're representing look good, what are you worried about? You just want viral, bro. You should be proud of yourself. And I say to managers, dealer owners, dealer principals, look, how much does it cost you for a new guy to burn through a customer? It's going to happen. You got to have him take some reps, and it's going to cost you money. That guy might burn through 5 or 6 ups before he even sells one, and he might burn through 20 customers that your top guys would have sold over a 6-month time span that were lay down deals that they just don't know what they're doing. But it's natural. It costs your sales team nothing and your dealership nothing to create content and learn how to be more confident. If you're more confident on camera, I can assure you're going to be more confident in a one-on-one manner. All of the students I work with, all the other creators I know, some of the most confident people I know, because they're making videos getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of views. They've heard themselves speak on camera. People see me. They see I can talk pretty fluently. I don't say I'm a whole lot. I'm a pretty well-spoken person. And go watch that first YouTube video, bro. You don't believe me. I was a terrible speaker. Absolutely awful. And I've never trained, never taken a lesson, never watched how to speak better. But if you hear yourself speak so much, you're going to be like, oh my God, that was so bad. I got to get better.
You're right. You're right. So I want to dig into, you mentioned dealership managers, owners, in that personnel. I'm interested in the balance between personal branding and dealership branding. So when I think about this, you're talking to salespeople and training salespeople and how to get more ups, how to get more customers in the funnel. And then I think about the flip side, and I have a marketing manager or a marketing director who's responsible for the brand of the dealership or the brand of the group. And how do you balance those two things? How much involvement is there from the marketing team at a dealership when you're working with a sales team? I don't know. There's a lot of paths to go down here, but at a high level, how do you balance dealership branding and personal branding?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have processes and procedures we help dealerships put in place. Every dealership's different. So to think there's a blanket solution, I think, as working at a really big company, there is no like one size fits all. Certainly. One of the more blanketed solutions we have, though, for someone with a marketing team is we say to the people on the marketing team, help your salespeople with their content. And we call it the one-to-one rule. Help them make a video for their personal page, but only do it in exchange for a video for your page. And you want to piggyback off of the following. And we figured that out at my old dealership, Beyond Lincoln. Respectfully, I think they saw that the writing was on the walls that like, man, Russ is literally selling 20 cars this month, and he went and trained a dealership for a week, and now he's back. And man, that store he was at was huge. I mean, they're going to recruit. Something's going to happen. And they let me do my thing, which I respect. And to Mr. Biondi, thank you for always letting me do what I needed to do to make my life better. But about 8 months before I left, they're like, hey, Russ, we kind of want to get in this game. And Mr. Biondi and the Biondi Lincoln account, just on TikTok, I think have over 20,000 followers and is a huge lead source for them. And they were able to grow their brand off of my brand. And I'm no longer there. And their brand is thriving. And they're selling a bunch of cars from social media without me because they piggyback off of me. I was in the content. Now people are seeing Russ and the Biondi Lincoln content. They're following that, keeping tabs. And we found that because we do business so well, all of those customers that I had sold from social media, people that would have never bought a car off Biondi Lincoln, they've been retained. And I wasn't sure how that would go either. I had people reach out to me. Hey, Russ, I want to buy this car. Oh, I'm no longer at Biondi. I can send you Mr. Biondi's number. And I wasn't sure if they were going to be like, no, I'm a Russ fan. Oh, yeah, send me Mr. Biondi's number. I love his TikToks too. And they were able to capitalize on that because it's Russ's job to sell a car. It's the Biondi Lincoln family or the dealership's job to retain the client. And they have outstanding service, family-owned feel. So a lot of people were like, oh, well, screw Russ, whatever. Good luck with your venture. I still need to buy a car or get my oil changed. I'm going to go to Biondi because they do things right. And I think that's, as the marketing department is like, we want to encourage our guys to grow our brand and grow their brand. We do not want to be like so tight, like, well, what if this happened? What if they became the next Russell Sips? Well, good. That's going to be very good for your store if one of your guys gets 1 million followers. And Mr. Biondi was so smart that he ran a campaign on his TikTok like, hey, you want to be the next Russell Sips? I'm encouraging you. I hope you come to my dealership. I hope you get 1 million followers, and I hope you can quit and chase your dreams. And if you want to make that happen, come do it here. I mean, that was genius marketing. You know how many people who got to apply to do that?
Oh, I'm sure. So that opens up two questions. The first one is, in your scenario, right, your personal experience that you've went through over the last 8 to 12 months, you went and started your own business. You started your own training firm or consulting firm. there are other salespeople, or there would at least be a concern from a dealer that the salesperson would go to the next store, right? So I'm selling Lincolns, and now I have an opportunity to go to a high volume Chevy store. And instead of selling 30 Lincolns a month, maybe I can sell 50 Chevys a month. Is that a concern? If you're a dealer, are you concerned with that? Is that, or do you just leverage what that person has and can bring, treat them right, and see what happens? I don't know. What are the pros and cons there? If I'm thinking about this,
I get that concern, and it's a tough question to answer. I mean, look, as someone who's never ran a dealership, this might be out of line for me to say, but I mean, couldn't that just already happen? Couldn't somebody who sells 25 Lincolns a month without social media, couldn't someone in their local market take notice of that? I mean, don't top performers already get poached? I mean, I'm sure you know a salesperson who I know one personally who got a $100,000 sign-on bonus to go work for another dealer group. I mean, these things can and already do happen. But Greg, this is what we found actually, that when your brand is so tightly tied to where you are and where you work, there's actually this fear of jumping ship. And that happened to me. I am Russ Phillips Whips at Beyondy Lincoln. The whole world knew it. And I turned down offers. I'm not going to say where, but a huge Porsche store offered me a crazy deal to go there with opportunities of GSM and crazy money. And I'm like, I said no. I was like, look, and this is about a year and a half ago. I'm like, I'm Russ at Beyondy. I don't know if this is going to work. And I was so nervous, and maybe somebody else would have taken that opportunity. But we have found that the guys who brand themselves at their store, at least who I've coached, and I've been coaching for about a year now, not one person has left for another store. So that's just what I've discovered. Could it happen? Will it happen? Absolutely. But you always want the best for your salespeople. And if you're not offering them the best opportunity in life, as a man, you should want somebody to always have the best opportunity in life. And I learned that from Mr. Beyond. He said, Russ, I never want to hold you back from a bigger opportunity. So you got to be like, as a business owner, you have your selfish thoughts. And then as a man, you should have your encouraging thoughts. And look, it's a really tough act to balance for sure. That would be terrible if some store, I come in, I train one of their guys, and 3.5 years later, they get so big, they leave. I mean, does that suck? Yes, but it's kind of a good thing at the end of the day for that person.
Yeah, and your original point is a good one too. Is that going to happen anyway? What percentage of salespeople in today's dealership have been there for over 10 years in that specific role? Yeah, right. Like it's not a huge percentage. So you're going to have turnover. Why not help your salespeople that you have in the seat today be as successful as possible? I guess that's kind of the view that you can look at it, where, if on average you're going to have them for 2 or 3 years anyhow, why not help them be as successful as absolutely possible in those 2 to 3 years, and ultimately piggyback off of that success, institutionalize that success. And then when you do need to fill a seat, the next person can also have that same level of success.
Yeah, and I'm sure every vendor in the world tries to use this like little bit of math, but it's like, you got 30 sales guys, and just what if all of them sold an extra 2 cars a month from social media? None of them worked there in 3 years, but now you have all these cars in service and operation and this database. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars, and I know every vendor in the world probably preaches that same math, sure, but it's true math. And social media doesn't really cost you anything to acquire these customers.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I want to get back to kind of the second question from earlier, which is really around the balance between dealership branding and personal branding. And in some instances, this isn't everywhere, but in some instances, especially with a well-established marketing team at a dealership, they have a brand that they've created, that they have cultivated, and they want to protect that brand and they want to lift that brand up. And if they have, to use your example earlier, somebody in a cowboy hat out there on social media talking about Fords and doing videos in their lot with their dealership in the background, and that's not necessarily the brand that the store wants to put forth, how do you balance that? Or do you just, it's either we're in or we're out? I'm just trying to think through, if you're selling to a marketing manager, if you're selling to a dealer and they have a specific perception that they want to put out there into the world, and a salesperson has their own brand that they're trying to put out there in the world and they don't match, is there a way to balance that?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, one of the processes we put in place, and I think that example of like the cowboy hat guy is probably one that I would argue is like a good thing. And I'll explain why in a second, but you don't want profanity. You don't want swearing. You don't want to be saying things off the rails. Obviously no race, religion, politics. And we encourage every dealership before you get into this to write up some social media policy. Look, hey guys, we're going to give you creative freedom. And every dealership says when they're hiring you, hey, you could build a dealership within a dealership. So do you really mean that? Or are you just saying that to get them in the door? Do you really want your guys to build a dealership within a dealership? I mean, that's everyone's pitch when they're hiring. Man, I'm going to give you the phone. I'm going to give you the cars. I'm going to give you the CRM, and it's your job to make it work. And then you got a guy trying to make it work, and then you start to put the guardrails up. So look, we want everyone to be professional online. We want everyone to not swear. And that's why we recommend a social media policy. And I ran into this at my dealership. I made a video maybe 3 years ago that was not for everyone. And not to get into the weeds of it, but it had something to do with bad credit. And it went viral. And I actually got leads from it. I actually had bad credit people calling me like, hey, that was funny. Can you help me? I need a little help here. Whatever. One of the Beyondies liked it. One of them didn't. And they wanted me to take it down. I'm like, look, this got like 5 million views. I mean, it's running, and we don't have a policy in place. I mean, I'm okay if we want to sit down and put the guardrails up of the do's and the don'ts, but this needs to be clearly defined, because nothing was clearly defined. And I don't ever want to make the store look bad, and I don't think I made the store look bad, but I get your point, and I'm a team player. I'm a company man. There's nothing I care more about than making the company look good, because I know that's for the better good of me. If the place I'm working at is a good place to do business, well, then the people I'm attracting will want to come work with us. So we sat down, put a social media policy in place that was basically like the do's, the don'ts. And if you do one of the don'ts, you have to take it down, or, you're terminated. And I think that was fair, that you get the out of deleting it. There's no like, hey, you're just fired. Like, hey, Ross, take it down. You crossed the line, clearly defined in this article here. And I recommend any dealership comes up with that before they do their social media initiative, because you don't want a guy to be all happy he has a viral video, because it's usually the viral ones that make it back to the team. It's never the one that got views. Anyone's gonna, hey, Russ has got 1 million views. And to people watching, you have to keep this in mind. One time I made a video that wasn't bad at all, and someone skewed it in a way, think like news media outlets, how they could skew anything. Well, some customer called. This dude lived in like California and he didn't like it, whatever. And Mr. Biondi, who didn't get social media at the time, was like, Rush, you got to take that down. I'm like, why? He's like, somebody called. I'm like, and? Is it one of our cousins? He's like, no. I'm like, who is he? He's some guy from California. I'm like, that video got like 12 million views. So you're telling me one person out of 12 million complained? So you're telling me 11,999,000 people didn't complain. That's pretty good math. We already get bad reviews, Mr. Biondi, from things we're actually doing wrong at the dealership. We need to focus on that, not this video that got 12 million views and one person found it offensive. I can't please everyone. We got to focus. Now, look, in the video, Mr. Biondi agreed with me that the video was not wrong or ill-intended at all. And when I explained it like that, he's like, oh, that got 12 million views? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I guess that is good. Only one person called to complain.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, Russell, I want to shift gears a little bit, and I'm curious, from your perspective, when you're training folks, what level do you advise they promote at? And when I say level, I mean, what part of the funnel, right? Are you looking at when they're making their kind of body style decision? Okay, is this somebody that's looking for a full-size SUV? Is it somebody looking for a pickup? What is it? Do you do it at the make level, the brand level? I know I want a mid-size SUV. Do I want a Lincoln or a Cadillac? Or do you do it at the dealership level? I know I want a Corsair, and I need to figure out where to buy it. Where do you target with material? If I'm a salesperson that wants to get into this, and I'm really getting excited about putting videos out there, putting content out there, what level do I focus on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll start with this. There's many styles of content, but there's really only two. There's growth content and there's conversion content. Videos you make that might not ever sell you a car. So why would we do that? So we need to always ask ourselves this: who wants to watch a bunch of ads? And this is why I respectfully say to the marketing managers that these big groups, you don't know what you're doing on social media. I'm sorry. I see your videos and they're all ads, and nobody's going to watch a channel that's ads. That's why you have 3 followers and 3 likes. You need to grow an audience with growth content. This is educational, insightful, relatable, funny, and that content is going to hit far and wide. And that's how you grow your brand. And we found at my dealership and dealerships across the country, new shock, people don't really like buying a car. So they're going to buy from people they know, like, and trust. And there's no way on earth to get people to know, like, and trust you that don't know you unless you're using social media. And you need to entertain them. Would you watch, Greg, a TV show for an hour, and 50 minutes of it was ads.
No.
And would you pay to watch that? Would you like subscribe to that? Would you follow that? Can't wait to watch the ad channel. And that's what these dealerships do. Hey guys, Richardson here at Beyond Lincoln, and we have our ultimate summer sales event. Come on down. We got hot dogs. We got great deals. We have lease deals as low as 3. And that's all their videos are. And that's why these people are like, man, social media doesn't work. You don't know what you're doing. You need to grow your audience, build trust, entertain, educate, be insightful, be funny, give people a reason to follow you. And then if you do that 80% of the time, then you do your ads 20% of the time. And you can put those ads as far and as wide or as niche as you want them to be. That's up to you and what you're selling. That 20% conversion we found converts so hard. When I was doing ads for the dealership, hey, you have negative equity. We got these cars right here. I would get 500 leads in a day and we'd sell all 30 in a day. I have examples. I can prove it. I have videos. I have the results of selling like 30 cars and getting 30. And we didn't sell all 30 in the same day, of course, but getting 500 leads and selling 30 cars over like a 2-week time span from one video. And it was an ad I did. Or we sold cars that we ordered wrong really quick like this and got so many leads we didn't know what to do. Because I did such a good job of getting people to follow me and do what I'm doing. When that ad came out, they actually watched it because they're like, oh, Russ doesn't do a whole lot of ads. Now, if all your page is ads, it's just like bliss and they just scroll right past you. But if you do such a good job building value, and I think I stole this from Gary Vee, they call it give, ask. Most dealerships just do ask. And that's why they don't make good content. So I think the focus is wrong. It's about branding, building your brand. Like one of my buddies, George Saliba, if you know that, he has like 1 million followers on TikTok. He don't really ask people to buy cars off him. Meanwhile, he has people coming from all over the country to buy cars off him because he's just made it known that his brand is Highline Luxury Cars, and he gives top dollar for trades, and he will sell you a car and make it a frictionless process. And he's just done that by documenting what he's doing, not making, hey, we just we're the best dealership to buy from. No, he just proves it through the documentation.
Sure. So let's talk about audience for a second, because, I think with you have an interesting story and probably an interesting perspective. Historically, your audience has been, and we can get into channels and where to publish in a second, but your audience has been consumers, people in the market to buy a car or will be in the market to buy a car at some point in the future. So
we've tested 35% of my audience is actually people who work within the 4 walls of a dealership.
Okay. And that's where I was going, was as you've moved into this new world, right? And with your new venture, how have you shifted your content to match your target audience, right? When you're trying to sell cars and your job is to sell cars, your target audience is for the most part consumers. I mean, that's who you're creating for, I assume. Maybe not. You tell me. That's why I'm asking the question. And now, as you've shifted into this world with RFW training, your audience is primarily salespeople and dealers and GMs and folks inside the store. So your content, I would assume, has shifted. So can you talk a little bit about content creation and how that translates to your audience and your target audience?
Yeah, I would say the content shifted a little bit. I'd say I'd still stay true to my roots of the educational and entertaining and insightful content. And I always did that for car salesmen to begin with and made relatable videos that car salesmen could enjoy before. And certainly on the consumer side, I'd say I've leaned a little bit off the consumer side, a smidge, but people get so in the weeds of target audience this, target audience that. Look, I had a conversation with a lady last night. She's a real estate agent in Kentucky, and she connected me with the owner of a 15-store group because she knows them very well. They're friends, country club friends. And she was like, he needs you. I'm gonna connect you in a group chat. Boom. I get a lead from a real estate agent. Is my target audience a real estate agent? Absolutely not. And this is so many people. Throw what you know about marketing out the window. When it comes to social media, if you make a brand big enough for yourself, people are going to talk about you. I got referrals from people I never met out of California. Their friends would come in, be like, hey, my friend John sent me to see you. I'd be like, John who? I know like 1 million Johns. You don't know John. He watches you on TikTok. I went to college with him, was talking to him last night, BS, and told him I was going to go buy a Lincoln at your competitor. And he was like, you got to go see this Russ Flips guy. I follow him. He's the guy. And boom, I'm getting referrals from people I don't know. That happened to me all the time, every time. I had kids dragging their parents in to come buy a car off me. They have no clue who I am, but people listen to their kids. And if your kid's going to make them compelling, Mom, this guy, Russ, Beyond Lincoln, we got to go check him out. He's the guy to go buy a car from. So throw target audience out the window. I mean, it's important. Correct. I'm not going to say it's not, but you don't know what's going to happen when you're getting a bunch of views and getting a bunch of followers. People talk, and people like to be the person that we're like, you know, maybe you have a plumber. Well, if that plumber's the best and your friends start talking about plumbing, like, oh, no, dude, I got the best plumber. And I became that person as a car shop. Dude, I don't know this guy, but dude, I follow him. Dude, he's the guy. And now that I'm doing a different venture, it's the same word tracks. I get referrals. I mean, we haven't ran really any paid ad. We did our first Facebook ad the other day for my training, just because I was like, I should probably learn how to do Facebook ads. I'm going to be teaching this soon. And we got like over 600 leads off $1,000.
Yeah.
Legit car salesmen, car dealership owners. And I'm like, this is cool. And we were just running it against my audience already that I had built. So I think people get so caught up in the weeds on their target audience, especially people who aren't even making content. I'm like, dude, you're like thinking so far ahead. Like, this is a crazy question. So to really nail down the question, make content that everyone can enjoy, because you, as a car salesman, you want referrals from everyone, right?
Sure.
To make content that everyone can enjoy. I got referrals from other big dealer owners. They're friends. I'm not going to say the name, but there's a really big dealer group in Pittsburgh. They don't have a Lincoln franchise. The owner personally called me. Hey, I got a friend who's like dead set on a Navigator. I tried putting them on an Escalade, not flying, and I just figured I'd call you. I didn't know the guy. He knew me though. I knew him, but I didn't know him. He didn't call Mr. Biondi, the owner of the store. He called me, Russ Flips Whips, a car salesman at a Lincoln store. In what world does that happen? The owner normally calls the other owner. Hey, this is XYZ owner. I own the store, down the street that's probably offered to buy you 20 times in the last 20 years. My friend wants a Navigator. Nope, he called Russ.
Yeah.
Social. And I don't even know if he might have, his kids might have showed him to me. I don't know. I didn't really get in the weeds with him.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Is just start getting stuff out there. And I mean, I do think that whatever you're putting out there has to match and be interesting to the people that you're talking to, though. I mean, you obviously are putting out content around the dealership world. You're putting out content around vehicles. You're putting out, it's related, but your point's a good one in that you don't have to worry about it that much. Just be in the space you're intending to be in, and you'll be fine. Yeah,
and if I misled anyone listening, like, to be fair to your point, I mean, if you're a car salesman and you want to sell more cars, don't make gardening content. That's probably not getting any leads. But like I was selling Lincolns. I barely did any Lincoln content for the last 2 years, but people knew who I was and what I did.
Sure.
I mean, very easy to know that. And I was making content for everybody. That was always cool. And that goes back to my point of give value. And if you truly give, ask yourself when you're making content, am I giving or am I asking? And if you give, you will always receive more than you can ask for. And that's what I found out. I mean, I just always gave, educational, insightful, entertaining. And when you learn to give, you barely have to ask.
Well, and even now, moving into the food review business, you're like a Sonic brand ambassador. So you're the next. You're going to replace those two guys in the car.
That's to my point that everything's content. And to anyone listening that doesn't know what that was, I'm driving through Arkansas. I'm not a big fast food guy sometimes, but I try to eat right. Hadn't eaten all day. I normally don't eat before I present. And I didn't present till 1 o'clock. And I'm presenting for the McClarty Auto Group to their top achievers and giving them some insight on social media. And I'm driving from like Little Rock to I don't even know where I'm going. To be honest, my wife controls my whole life. I just put the GPS in, whatever. It's 4 hours away. So it's 1 o'clock. I'm 4 hours away from my next destination, haven't eaten, and I'm dying, and I'm driving through cornfields. And it's like Sonic or McDonald's. And I'm like, let's try Sonic. And there's a Sonic by my house that I had swore I'm never going to Sonic. That's garbage. I'm not eating that junk. Like, they're terrible. Meanwhile, I'd never been there before. And I felt so moved after eating the burger. I was like, I owe them an apology. I really do. Crazy part about that video, sometimes I don't even know how stuff works. You wouldn't believe how many leads I got from that video.
Really?
Saw you were in Arkansas at the Sonic. I think I know which one you're at. By the way, our dealership's struggling with social. It's just boom. I'm top of mind awareness. So maybe as somebody that's been thinking of reaching out to me for 3 months now, that video connected with them. I don't even think I said I'm training dealers. I just said I'm in Arkansas, stopped here, and now I got people from Arkansas texting me like, "Hey, saw you're in Arkansas. Our dealership needs help. I want to connect you with the owner." So just everything's. You never know what's going to convert.
No, that's great. Well, Russell, I could talk to you. I got a list of stuff I still want to dig into, but I want to be super respectful of your time. So maybe we can do.
I'm good. I'm having fun.
All right. All right. So let me ask you this then. I want to talk about scaling, right? So if I'm a person, an individual, I got to sell cars, I got a million things I got to do. And now I'm getting into this social media world and I'm recording videos. And how do I scale, right? How do I go from one video a day or one video a week to 5 or 10 or whatever the number is? How do I scale my presence where, because it's just me and I'm on camera. You've been doing this for 10 years, right? You're on camera. You're the personality. You're the person. You're the brand. There's only so many hours in the day. How do you scale the content?
Yeah, there's a few points to make here. Some people we have found very good on camera. One take. Well, then if you could do a 1 minute video in one take, it takes you 1 minute. And of course, with a little bit of editing. And, we actually preach like don't over edit, just like trim it, put a little caption on it, keep it super simple, keep it scalable. So to make it scalable, you got to keep it simple. And if you look at my content, there's nothing crazy about it. It's very simple content. So, but for the people who aren't, maybe that 1 minute video took you 20 minutes.
Right.
Well, I can assure you through repetition, you will become better and you have to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'll go back to that first YouTube video. Awful, terrible. I couldn't speak one sentence without saying or ah. And I would make stuff up and it didn't sound right. But through repetition, this morning, I'm at this dealership right now. I'm actually recording some stuff for our online training platform as we speak. I got here at 7 a.m. I filmed probably 8 videos in 20, 30 minutes. My next week of content done. And that's what happened. So any salesman that takes on this endeavor, you're going to run into this problem. Your content's going to do so well. It's going to generate you so many leads and so many sales. You're going to run out to make the content that was generating you leads. And I found that. I mean, I went from 10 cars a month to 20, 25, over 30 cars in a month. And I'm like, man, I'm running out of time. I don't have time to make content. It's a legitimate excuse. I could make a video here or there, but not like I was. How do I do this? You got to make a commitment, bro. And this is what separates great people from average people. I started staying late. I started going in early, and I actually got the permission from the owner. And I'm not saying every store would do this, so this is maybe an exception to the rule for me. I got the keys to the building and would go in on Sunday and film for about 2 hours because I was that committed because I knew it was working so well. I'm like, if this stops, well, then I'm just going to go back to 15 cars a month, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep these numbers high. So everyone's going to have that different level of commitment. Maybe it's staying an hour late. We have a guy at Van Horn. His name's Kyla's Cars on TikTok. He's their variable ops director. He got 30,000 followers on TikTok in about 2 months, and he did exactly what I told him to do, exactly how I said to do it. And he says, Russ, I couldn't believe how easy it was. We go in Friday. We go in about an hour and a half early. We make a whole week's worth of content, and I edit each video at night for 15 minutes. And he said his overall time commitment for it is about 3 to 4 hours. And I'm sure that was a conversation we had last month. I'm sure it's come down because you get better at editing too. So that everything becomes much, much quicker. I mean, my time commitment to content for social media every week when I was doing it all by myself, which thankfully I no longer am, it was probably 3 hours a week. That's posting a video every day, multiple videos a day. And that's just because I got better at it. Now, to scale it, you just got to figure out what works for you and then do more of that. And, I have all these different ideas and styles of content. And I had one girl we work with, her name's Andrea, sells Cadillac. One of the top Cadillac salespeople in the country, selling over 30 cars a month. And she's like, hey, I want to do this content thing. I'm not sure if I have the time. I have 3 kids. I sell a lot of cars. And she has cancer. And she's open about it. She has cancer. And, I'm sure there's a lot of things that go on with that. And we helped her. And hey, we can do this, and this. You should try this style of content. And she tried 4 or 5 styles of content until she found that doing videos of her with customers crushes. And being a woman in sales, she sometimes has people be a little rude to her on the phone. And now she is just recording what she's already doing. And she's getting billions of views and selling cars from social media. I think in the last month and a half since she started, she got 10,000 followers. Just recording what she's already doing. How much extra time does that take? Not a lot.
Sure.
You're already doing it.
Yeah, so a couple of strategies to pull out of there. It sounds like that last one that you just described is really interesting. There's entertainment in everything that you do every day. Right. There is. Sometimes you might not see it because you're in it. But if somebody else is watching, it's like, wow, that's interesting. I'll give you a quick story, and I haven't shared this with anybody kind of publicly yet, but we were recording in here. It's about a month ago, and I had my son in at work with me. He's 9. And so he's watching a podcast recording. And as you might imagine, for a 9-year-old boy, a little bored, sitting and quiet, can't do anything, can't move around, right? So we're recording and we're maybe 15 minutes in. And he literally falls face first out of the chair over there. And it was everything I could do to not lose it, right? Like I'm talking and having a conversation. I see him and he's on the floor, and he did a good job staying quiet. He knew he had to. But, for me, that's just life. For somebody else, if there's a camera angle that shows him, I mean, that's funny stuff, right? And we all have those moments where, if you're recording, that's a great example. That what you are doing is entertaining to someone. Behind the curtain is funny. So that's a really good strategy. The other one that I heard you say, at least I think, was chunk your time. Right. If you can, record everything in an hour, record everything in 2 hours, and then you can edit it and divvy it up and post it. But if you chunk your time, you'll be much more effective and efficient, where you're talking about even this morning, right? In an hour, 2 hours, you recorded essentially all your videos for the week. That's a good use of time. You're in the zone, you're recording, you're ready to go. So I don't know. Those two strategies are kind of what I took out of that. I don't know. Did I take the right things?
Yeah, that's great. And one of the toughest mindset shifts we have, especially for people who have been doing this a while, selling cars, you desking a deal, helping a guy get out of negative equity. And look, I've been in a lot of showrooms. We aren't these evil people that they make us out to be. A lot of conversations behind the desk are like, how do we get him to his payment? How do we help this guy get to where he wants to be? And to you, doing that 20 times a day for the last 20 years is not interesting. And I can assure you, I don't think it is either. But to millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people, that's cool stuff. And how else are you going to get people to know you, like you, and trust you if you're not being yourself on camera? So we have some students who take their phone, prop it up, record what they're already doing, and they're like, dude, I can't believe people are watching that. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first person to say, me either, but I know it works.
Yeah, no, that's so good. All right, hey, one other thing I wanted to pick your brain on, Russell, is kind of size of market that this works the best in. And if there isn't one, that's fine too. But I think about for you personally, right, you kind of grew in the Pittsburgh market. I would say the epitome of like a mid-size market, right? It's not a super urban center. It's certainly not a small city. It's a mid-size city. Great city, by the way, but kind of that mid-size market. Is that where you have seen people have the most success, in those markets that aren't huge but can certainly draw a lot of people? Or is it successful in rural markets, major urban metros? Like, it doesn't matter. I don't know. That's really my question is there a target area that this is going to work best in, or does it not matter?
Every dealership has different goals. And when you say what works best, we'd have to define that question. Is this in terms of more sales in our market, more sales out of our market? At Biondi Lincoln, a small family-owned Lincoln store where the average market day supply of our vehicles was 130 days, we would sell these cars to people in China if they called and were willing to. So it's like, we were glad to sell outside of our PMA. Like, that was a win. You know what I mean? Like, dude, thankfully we could move these units. And we were catering to people who were in markets. And newsflash to you people in New Jersey, New York, and Texas that, are putting addendums on all of your cars and making it tough to buy a car. There's another way to buy a car, and it's through TikTok. And they see people like me and Mr. Biondi, and they call us. They're like, man, it's just so tough to buy a car down here. Well, hey, we'll give you a great deal up front. No add-ons, no markup. Here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. And they would buy it from us. And sometimes it wouldn't even be a much better deal, but they were just happy to deal with people who were excited to earn their business. I think in terms of outside of your market, a rural area and, a competitive market, believe it or not, Biondi Lincoln was in a very competitive market. 4 family-owned or 4 Lincoln dealers, I think they're all family-owned, in a 30-mile radius of each other. I mean, how many Lincolns can we sell in Pittsburgh? I mean, come on. Somebody's going to have to close shop eventually. And I'll be the first to say that was probably more likely to be us than anyone else a few years ago. We've been able to twist that narrative. I mean, I think I just called Mr. Biondi the other day. We have a great relationship. I think they sold like 4 cars in New York last month. Small family-owned Lincoln store. I mean, how many Lincoln stores are in New York? No shortage of them, I promise you. So I think for like a small competitive market or a small rural area, it's great for you to reach people who you would have never reached. I think in these big markets like LA or Miami, you already have enough people in your market. You're probably not interested selling outside of your PMA. I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule, but you're going to be able to double down on that market as well. So it really just depends what your goals are. I mean, I can only speak through my experiences, and usually it is the more rural dealers we tend to train because those are the people that are looking for extra sales. Not, I'm sure every dealership wants to grow, but some need to grow more than others and are open to trying new avenues. And, we train Toothman Ford, Grafton, West Virginia, town of 3,000 people. Well, their TikTok has 6,000 followers. Not a lot of people, but in a town of 3,000, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. All right. So Russell, really appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me. Before we hop off, what's next for you? So you've had a lot of kind of evolution, we'll call it, over the last, 8 to 12 months. What's next? Where are you going next?
Great question. I think for me, it's doubling down. I think so many people try to go so far and wide. And, I get messages every day. I own a restaurant. Can you help me? I can. And I've done it before. I helped a guy who owns a pizza place go viral. What I teach is repeatable. That's not what I want to do. I love the automotive community. I love car sales. And I foresee myself for the near to mid future just working with car dealerships. I don't want to go spread myself too thin, spread my team too thin. I think I need to become, and I would say humbly, I think I already am because I don't think I have any competition, but I want to make sure that I am known as the number one automotive social media trainer and really just how to brand yourself. And we do so much beyond just social media training. We teach people how to send customers videos in an appropriate manner, in a way that converts. We do so much more than just social media training. That's the backbone of what I teach, of course, but I'm teaching people how to just be an effective car salesman in 2025. And I think until I am like the top guy, named, brought up among the greats, I don't see myself going into any other industry anytime soon. And I think that's just a goal of mine. It's just to, I don't know if they'd induct me to the Automotive Hall of Fame, but just be like Mount Rushmore of what he did for the automotive industry.
I love that. Well, you're certainly well on your way, Russell. So keep doing what you're doing and doubling down. I appreciate everything you're doing. I appreciate the time you spent with me today. Obviously, you're in a store, so go get back to work. But no, really, Russell Richardson, Russ Flips Whips, founder of RFW Training. I couldn't say thank you enough for joining me. And we'll have to do it again soon. This is a fun conversation.
Yeah, I love talking. Something I'm good at. So thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks, Russell. Well, if you held on till the end, I hope it was worth it. I think it was. It was a fun conversation with Russell Richardson. He does such a great job. I love what he's doing now, expanding and training others to do what he did. Great story, great guy. If you haven't checked him out, do it at Russ Flips Whips. Before we hop off, don't forget you can watch or listen to all episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.